Hi, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everybody. Podcast number 2 of Dad and Dana Unfiltered.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about voting. I know we all saw all this voting stuff on TV. Everybody's been getting stuff in the mail about voting in the primary. Well, I voted.
I did too.
Dana voted. We both voted. Right? Very important that you vote. You ain't got a reason to darn complain if you don't vote. If you don't vote, shut up. That's just all it is to it. You know, get out there and vote. Very important. Learn what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on. Become informed. Do your research. Make up your own mind. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. So, I know Dana's been busy delivering all this mail for all these people and spending bunches and bunches of money.
It's been really annoying.
Oh, I know. And it's to me, it's just amazing how much money is actually spent in politics. I mean, I ran for office, 10 years ago, I reckon. Local county election, I ran for office. Didn't get elected, which was okay. You always got to have a winner, always got to have a loser. But I couldn't believe the amount of money that was spent just on the county level. Now, on the state level, it's unbelievable. I spent probably $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. I don't remember exactly, between signs and mailings and stuff like that. And you had to go and beg for money. And I ain't good at begging for money. I didn't spend near as much money as other people did. Of course, I didn't get elected either. So that tells you a little bit. But going around begging for money, I tried. And yeah, I got some money. I had a lot of people help me out. I did fine in this area here, but other parts of the county, they didn't know who I was. I didn't get out like I should, because I didn't know have the connections in all the different areas where people would know. There's a lot of registered voters in Lexington County too, and growing every day.
Is it a tax write-off if you donate to somebody?
Mm-mm.
So you just donate money and you don't even get it as a tax write-off? That's stupid. I wouldn't donate money.
There's a lot of people that do, but no, it's not a tax write-off. But yeah, anybody that a lot of people donate for different reasons. Some of them donate so they'll have a connection if that person gets elected in office. Some of them donate because they want to see change. Others donate because they like you. So I had more people that donated to me because they liked me more than I did anything else. Of course, I had people that didn't donate because they probably didn't like me, and of course they didn't know me. So that's just how it is. But yeah, it's hard for me to imagine how much money is spent on the state level elections, federal elections. Is just unbelievable. On the national level, the amount of money that's spent to go into a political office.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
The millions of dollars that are spent every 4 years on a presidential election.
Yeah. And I know the president right now, he's not taking a salary, which is saving a little bit of money, but it's nothing like the amount of money that was spent to go in office.
Some of the, was it, who controls whether the government shut down or not? Is that the House? Yeah, so I think there was
House and the Senate.
well, one of the two. It might have been the senators. There was a few senators who said that they weren't going to take money until they opened the government back up because they didn't think it was right either.
Well,
but I don't know where does the money go? If you don't take your salary as a president or usually, as a senator or whatever it is, do they take it and just like donate it somewhere, or
it
like
probably
what?
Stays in the treasury. Now, if you go in, and I don't know this year, or what year, with the president, they would take the salary, but they donated all of
Oh.
it. And I don't know where it went to.
That's a tax write-off if you donate to charity.
Yep, it would be. But, I try to donate when I can. I give to the church. I donate to the, what is it, the VFW. I would donate to the veterans.
I'm broke.
Huh?
I'm broke.
I donate when I can.
It's very rare that I'm going to donate. If I have $1 or $2 in my pocket, like in my wallet or whatever, then yeah.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of money. I donate to the firemen when they're doing the boot drill out on the road. Because, I was in law enforcement for all those years. And I know what it's like, serving the public and all. But I won't run into no burning building. Let the firemen do that. Them fellas love it. Let them do it. I'll deal with the people out on the road with the fights and the bullets and everything. But firemen do a good job. They love that kind of work. And I have no problem donating to that. Getting back to the election and everything, here in South Carolina, it's been this way for a while. You got to show your ID to vote, which I think is okay. I don't know anybody in the world around here that doesn't have an ID and can't vote. Unless you're a convicted felon or something like that, then you can't vote. But, I don't think we ever get
Oscar wants to make an appearance.
I see Dana's cats over there trying to get at her.
He wants to say hi.
He wants to be in the podcast. Oscar, what do you think about the vote? You don't say much.
He's running away.
He doesn't talk much. But there's been a whole lot of folks that don't vote. Just like in South Carolina, I believe we got, according to what I read on South Carolina votes, was that we got over 3 million registered voters. And we had, which is surprising, we had 25% voting. But when you look at 3 million and 25%, that ain't even 1 million votes overall. That's not much. So why the people don't vote, I don't know. But you get everybody wants to complain. But, if you're going to complain, you need to have your butt out there voting. Because you ain't got no reason to complain if you don't vote. Because if you don't want to have a say in what happens in the county, the state, or wherever, then don't talk about it. Don't come up and complain about it. You can't do this, or they do this, or they do, whatever. Don't complain if you ain't voting.
Well, the younger generation's probably looking at it as, I'm not voting because it doesn't affect me, or my vote doesn't count, or whatever the excuse may be. But that's the only thing I can think about. So they could be registered to vote, because you can register as soon as you get your driver's license.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you vote? If you're going to register, vote. Read up. Do your research. Find out who your candidates are. Find out what their stance is on certain issues. Something that affects you. Say if you're, you want to, you're on your state level or whatever, you got candidates saying, taxes is too high. Well, find out who your candidates are looking for to reduce the taxes, property taxes, income taxes, whatever. If you want to change, find out who's saying what, become informed, vote for those. That's the only way you're going to ever see any change, is you got to get out and vote.
But what if you do your research, you do go talk to these people, and then they turn around and lie about it so they could get a vote, or they just don't do what they promise? That can deter people from voting because of that.
Yeah. And the thing about it, though, most of the politicians that I've known over the years, I'm not talking about on local level, but I'm talking about on a U.S. Senate, U.S. House. A lot of them, just career politicians, they will do whatever it takes to get a vote. Now, they'll tell you all kind of stuff, and from there, um, you know, there's nothing you can say. But at the same time, if you don't vote, then it really don't matter for sure. But if you do vote, you can at least say, "Well, I voted and I voted for this. My man didn't get in, so next time I'm gonna vote again, and hopefully my man will get in there or whatever, you know."
Or woman.
Yeah, or woman. I'm just saying, man, in general. But and I don't like the idea of all these career politicians running around. Now, some of them have been up there for a long time, and some of them are doing some good. But if you look up their salary for, now I'm talking about on the federal level and the national level, you look at the salaries, $170,000. You know, when you go in there, and these people go in there, their base salary is $170,000, and you know their net worth at that time is about 250,000 or whatever it may be. But then 3 years later, they're worth 6 to 7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all know how that happens. Special interest groups, they will turn around and they throw the money where they can. You know, you hear somebody that they're talking about, well, I'm pushing for this agenda here. So they get to a politician that's on that level and they say, you know, if you push this agenda that I'm looking for, I need this tax break right here or these subsidies right here. If you'll vote for that stuff and talk about it, I'll give you X amount of dollars. That's what happens. They bind these people's votes. In my opinion, that's what they do. And that's how our politicians get all that money in their pocket. Of course, they have the insider trading too. They know all about this trade stuff with the stock market long before the general public knows anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what do? They invest that money. Boom. They make it rich overnight. You know? And me and you did that, then we charged with insider trading. They're going to lock us up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. And
isn't that what they call the good old boy system?
well, that's the system in general. That's the system in general. The good old boy system was to pat you on the back. Yeah, if you do this for me, then I'll do that for you. And if you hire this person, then I'll hire that person. Yeah, you know, it's all about favors. But our politicians get too rich. They do. For what? And there's so many of them that, like I said, no, it's not all of them. I'm not down in all of them. Some of them are good people, but there's some of them that it's all about the money. Nothing else. Nothing else matters at that point. That's all they want to hear about. You know, well, how much you gonna pay me? What can I get? What's the bottom line on this? And all you got to do is go on the internet and read any of this news that's accurate news, and they'll tell you flat out who's getting rich here, who's done this, who's done that, and it's unbelievable the way they do. You know, how did this person make so much money in just a couple of years when their salary was $170,000 a year? Nobody wants to talk about that, but you know, every now and then somebody will bring it up, but poof, it's squished right away because nobody wants to stop anybody else from getting money because they might get stopped from getting. But that's like the term limits we talk about. Everybody talks about we need to have term limits on the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. But who in the world, now there might be one or two, but who in the world is going to put a bill forth to all the U.S. House, and how many people in the U.S. House is going to vote to limit their income? And that's basically what it is.
Well, it should be a term on it. I think it should be a term just as long as the president is, because you have people that'll sit in there in office for 20-something years.
Or longer.
And
Career
because
politicians.
because we, the people, continue to vote for that person because
Yep.
we're so used to them being in that position. We haven't even given somebody else a chance. And then because they have been there for so long, they know everybody that's in there, and they can sway votes to the
Oh
way
yeah.
that they want to.
Oh yeah. This is crazy. Um, I know. I wish we could go back to the simpler times. When you vote now at your precinct, you go in there, give them your ID, they print out this little piece of paper for you. You take it and you stick it in the machine. You vote for who you want to vote for. Make your picks. You finish it up. It prints it out. And you go to this other machine and you stick it in this machine, and it's supposed to automatically count all this stuff. Uh, Back when I first started voting, when I was 18, you went in, give you a pencil and a ballot, right? And you marked in there, you marked the X on the spot, or either you wrote in a name or whoever else that you wanted to vote for. Then you would fold it a certain way. You went over there and you dropped it in a box, and then when the polls closed, they counted them right away. We didn't have to wait for a week and a half or so for to count all the ballots and find out who won the election. You usually found out the same night.
Didn't you find out last night?
Yeah, last night they did pretty good. Last night, normally you know they don't. But
out of
last
3
night,
million of people who could have voted, you only had 25% of those people vote, so it's probably very easy.
well,
And a lot of people are probably looking at it as, oh, it's a preliminary race or whatever. It's not
it's
even
a
like
primary,
it's not even like the actual vote
but
part.
it decides
but,
a lot of the races are decided in
on
the primary.
who's gonna get didn't some people already get no they don't have a runoff. There's a few of them that have to run
That's
off.
what I'm saying. But there's a lot of them that won't even have anybody to run against in the November election.
Right.
So the primary decides it. So that's just the way it is. But in the simpler times, like I said, you went in there, they hand counted everything. And now, even with these machines they have and all, and you have to wait a week or two before you find out who won an election. To me, that don't make good sense. Whereas if it was all hand ballots, and I know we talk about too another thing, the mail-in ballots. Holy moly!
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dana had to deliver mail-in ballots back to the post office. They go to a certain thing. Why did you told me a little bit about it?
So if you have a mail-in ballot, they have to be separated from the regular outgoing mail because it has to go to a specific location. So like the presidential election, it would go to whatever the state for the state. It would go wherever that ballot is for the state. Like it has to go to that office. And then like for the primary races, I'm sure it goes somewhere to state, so they'd have to drive it to Columbia. Well, everything goes to Columbia anyway. Everything goes to Columbia anyway. But mail-in ballots have to be separated from outgoing mail. Technical difficulties.
Oh, we had a little bit. It ain't no big deal. I didn't get my microphone tightened up good.
There. Maybe. I didn't have any though. I don't think anybody had any for the primary. I only ever had to pick up like 2 of them. It should be fine. Yeah. Only had to pick up 2 mail-in ballots for the presidential election, and that was forever ago. I feel like.
Well,
I can't keep up with how long ago it was, but
yeah.
I only had to pick 2 of them up,
What?
and I had to give those to the postmaster or the supervisor, and they had to drive them somewhere. So.
Well, we had the early voting now. Years ago, there was no early voting like what they have now. Early voting was, if you couldn't, we're going to be going on vacation, or you were going to be off, off when you, into a different state or working somewhere, that you could not get back to vote in your precinct that day, they would give you an excuse to vote early. Now, I seen a line over there at Lexington, boy, at the election commission, that these suckers was lined up all out there in front of the old building, waiting to vote early. And like I said, it used to be like,
Well,
I don't know that many people's going on vacation, but maybe they did.
I wonder if like that counts for nurses and EMTs and people who work like over 12-hour shifts. I mean, what if your shift starts at midnight and you don't get off till, well, no, okay, your shift starts like, yeah, at midnight
12 to 12.
yeah, 12 to 12, and then, you worked a 12-hour shift.
But you could have voted that morning.
At midnight?
No. Before you go into work. You go into work at 12 noon.
No, I was saying midnight.
If you go into work at midnight, you get off at 12 noon.
Yeah, but you're exhausted too. Who wants to go there? And what if you work more than 12-hour shifts? What if you're working like 18 and 20-hour shifts? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I know EMTs and paramedics and stuff work 24 hours sometimes.
But normally they will make arrangements for them people to vote.
I go sleep.
That's just a fact. Heck, in November it's a holiday. Children are out of school on election day.
Not us. Not us.
No.
The post office still runs.
Oh well. But like I said, in simpler times, just like, now I didn't know this because I wasn't around during this time, but Harry Truman was elected president right after the war, or during the war. Harry Truman went in as president. He actually drove himself to the White House with his wife in the car. They drove through the gates going to the White House. Did his time at the White House. Served, did all, 4 years as a president. And then when he got ready to go home, he drove himself out of the White House gates. Same way he went in. None of that happens anymore. Yeah, I know it's a different time. We got more crazy people out on the road than we ever had. Nuts as always. Somebody's wanting to shoot somebody. Somebody's wanting to do this. And it's just nuts the way some people are anymore. I wouldn't work in law enforcement now for nothing. I did, almost 30 years in law enforcement. And, I saw a lot of changes from the time I went in to the time I got out.
You tried to get me to go in.
Yeah, I did. But, it's a different ball game now. Of course, it's a young man's game, and I'm not a young man anymore.
I'm not either. My knees hurt.
You never were a young man, so you don't worry about it. But it's just the way things are, and I don't get how in the world that you can, just like with all our voting, how in the world that things have to be so complicated just to vote. Right? Why can't we go in there with a piece of paper? Write down.
Because some people can't read your handwriting.
If it's printed out and you put an X in the box,
then they could say that it was messed with, it was tampered with.
If you fold it up and put it in the box.
Yeah, but who's to say the people that are counting it aren't?
You got to have people with integrity to begin with.
That's what I'm saying, though. So the writing on ballots isn't. You can't go off of that anymore. You have to go off of the printed ones, because at least you selected it on the computer. Then it prints off.
Well, anything that's made by man will break, will malfunction. That's just a fact. I don't care what it is. Man made it. It will break. And it's going to have to be fixed at some point or other. I don't care what it is. If it's your blender in your kitchen, if it's your automobile, or whatever, it's going to break or it's going to malfunction at some point, and you're going to have to fix it or you're going to have to get a new one. That's just all it is to it. And it's the same way with these voting machines. These machines they have out there for voting, some of the darndest things I've seen in my life. Now, it's easy to vote. It makes it easy because you stick a card in there. Now, it's a whole lot different than what it used to be. But at the same time, can you trust all that stuff? Technology. Robots going to take over. What we're gonna do
AI is becoming a thing now.
Yeah. What
It's hard. It's hard to tell what video is real and what's not. But there are some ways that you can tell what's real, what's not. You just have to look at it real close.
Well, it's crazy the way everything is going. But that's another thing. Either way, what I tell anybody right here that's watching this video or whatever, vote. Do your research. Read about your people. Get all the information you can. Make the best decision you can with the information you have. Best decision for you, your family, whatever. Make sure that you become informed and use that information to make your decision. If you do that, then can't nobody fault you, because you did the best you can with what you got. And you voted, and it's nobody's business who you voted for. So, get out there and vote. That's just like, it's real easy to get this information now because we got things now, just like this thing right here. It's an iPhone. Oh my boy. And when you got an iPhone, you might as well have a computer. First computer I ever seen was a big old desktop thing. Took you forever to learn how to use it because I didn't know nothing about it. Now, I got more power in this darn little iPhone than I ever had in one of them little desktops years ago. So, it's one of those things. Ain't nothing we can do about it. So, folks, get out and vote.
Yeah.
And we'll...
If you didn't, well, I mean, the voting's done and closed with now, but next time, go vote.
November election, get out there and vote. We all need to get out and vote. Make your choices known. Mark the spot. Be done with it. We're going to wrap this show up. We just want to talk to everybody about voting because there's a whole lot of voting going on. We want more folks to get out and vote.
And follow us on TikTok at Dad&DanaUnfiltered, and follow us on YouTube. And we will see you next week.
Follow and subscribe. We'll be looking for you. We'll see you next week. We're going to have some good stories for you next week. I hadn't decided exactly what we're going to talk about, but we'll have something good for you. God bless the United States. God bless South Carolina. God bless all of y'all. See you next time.